Some teams with some really good records in the NFL, but how good are those teams? We're going to answer those questions here today on Locked On NFL.
The barbershop is open and Tony Wiggins has a chair for you. He's ready with some real NFL talk. The local experts of Locked On bring their expertise, and Wiggy is ready with his clippers and shears. Sit down and enjoy. The new Locked On NFL starts now. Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
I am Tony Wiggins. He is the main man, Matt Williamson, and we are here. And welcome to Locked On NFL, the barbershop part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. And it is your team every day. We thank you for making us your first listen here, reminding you that wherever you get your podcast, whether you watch or listen, we will be there. So please tap in and do not miss an episode like the one that you're listening to right now that is sponsored and brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code Locked On NFL for $20 off your first purchase. As I said, my main man, Matt Williamson, is here with me as he always is on Friday. I'm going to give you a quick rundown of what we're going to do. We're going to whip around and pick them, try to do as good as we can to pick these crazy games in segment 3. Right smack in the middle of the show, talk about how the Patriots sent a message, and they are one of these teams that I believe are as good as their record indicates. We're going to start at the top with how good are some teams with good records, namely the Colts and Bears. So we'll park it right there just for a second, Matt, and discuss those teams first and foremost. I actually like the trajectory of both of them, but let's go ahead and go with the Bears first. Hey, man, they're doing what they got to do, and they're winning in a very Bears-like way. I even said that Caleb Williams kind of reminded me of Jim McMahon a little bit with how he's been playing.
Yeah, I think Williams is pretty remarkable. I mean, he is so talented. I mean, throwing on the move. Did he get faster in the NFL?
It looks like it.
I know. I mean, he's fast now. I used to think of him as good athlete, pretty good runner. Now it's like, man, he's like the fastest guy in the field.
Yeah.
There's still some up and downs to him, obviously, but the trajectory of the franchise is tremendous right now. I mean, you got a coach, you got a quarterback, the offense is in place, and I would think next year the offseason will be all about the defense, which leaves a little to be desired at the moment, but I think they're an above average team. If we're going to say, are they a good team, are they a contender, I'm not quite there yet.
All right, let's go to Locked On Bears, and then we'll come back and pull all the meat that's left on this Bears bones here in just a second.
If you would have told me before the season the Bears are 6-3 through 9 games, I would have been ecstatic. I wouldn't really care how it looked like. I wouldn't care if it was defense, if it was offense, if it was Caleb Williams, if it was all just Ben Johnson being a wizard, all of it. We all would have been excited at 6-3. And that's how I feel right now. We're pumped. The fact that the Bears have been able to find ways to win like they have the last 2 weeks. The growth, the development from Caleb Williams has been there. We're seeing Colson, Loveland, Luther Burden, Roma Dunze, Kyle Manungai really develop. We're seeing Darnell Wright take another step. So is a 9-8 record a successful season?
You know what? That question has come up here in Jacksonville too, because they're 5-4, but it feels like everything is falling apart. They've already won more games than they won last year. Matt, this gets into this with me. When you think that Matt Eberflus underachieved, okay, so after 9 games last year, what did you think his record was supposed to be? Maybe 5-4. So if you look at it like that, they're only 1 game better than you thought they were going to be with the coach that got fired, right? Sometimes we have over analysis with this and we go, is this a good start based on what I thought they were? But you got to watch these games each and every week. And the Jaguars have like 2 or 3 games that they should have won. The Jaguars should literally have 7 wins right now, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's the only way to do it. I mean, like, you're super close to the Jags. I'm super close to the Steelers. But we pay a ton of attention to the rest of the league, obviously. But when you really concentrate on one team, you can tell the story a lot better than just the record or the point differential or, I mean, well, they didn't have their best corner this day and, they had to make up for it. But then the next week they rebounded or O-line was totally hurt or, I mean, the Chargers right now, they can't block anybody, but they figured out a way to win, I mean, things like that. So I hear you, but I do agree that, and I meant to mention that too, that when we played that clip, their draft class, their younger guys, Wright, all the right tackle. I mean, they're all leveling up at the right time, which is really exciting.
That's the thing that makes you have such, I guess, a positive outlook is when you see guys come in and get onboarded, and that means that the dudes that are picking actually have a pulse, right?
Yeah, right.
Ryan Poles was going to get run out of Chicago last year. All of a sudden now he's a genius again, him and Ian Cunningham up there, and I think that's how it works. The Colts fall into this category too, because there's not one person that thought going into the season with Anthony Richardson or Daniel Jones at quarterback would have the Indianapolis Colts sitting in the number 2 seat for the AFC. But alas, here we are, and here's Locked On Colts to tell you more about what's going on with them.
Yeah, I mean, I think you laid it out really well there that Jones has defied expectations this year, and he's played at a very high level, especially compared to what we thought of him coming into the year. So with that, the expectations get raised. You know, you kind of raise your expectations for a player, and you want to see him continue at that very high level of play. And he's hit kind of a rut these last 2 weeks. I think his play has tapered off a little bit for sure. And the question really becomes, like, is he going to just devolve into the quarterback we thought he was, or can he get back on track? So the first thing I want to say with all that is thankfully the bye week is here. You know, it's a time to course correct, a time to relax, a time to just kind of get your legs back under you. And I think Jones and this offense kind of need that right now. They really hit a lull the last 2 weeks against two aggressive blitzing defenses, and those defenses threw a lot at them, and they didn't really counter super well. They still put some points on the board, and I still think there's some good signs on that side of the ball, but they hit their first kind of like bit of adversity on the season these last 2 weeks. And you want to see them be able to recover from that.
All right, Matt, you saw them close up. I haven't seen the Colts yet close up. I did actually watch the game that you were in attendance at in Pittsburgh. Is this a matter of teams just kind of catching up to the tape of the whole process, or is the teams catching up to Daniel Jones and making him look like Daniel Jones that everybody thought he was?
That Steeler game, I think, was kind of a one-off for the Colts. I mean, that was the Steelers' best day. It was the Colts' worst day. It's the only day Jonathan Taylor didn't go nuts. So I'm not going to put too much stock in that. I mean, if we go over the course of 17-game season and go, okay, if you take out their best game when nothing could go wrong, and you take out their worst day when nothing could go right, you know, that's probably a better barometer of where the team's at. And I'm not giving our fellow our fellow Locked On hosts a hard time, but you know, they opened that conversation saying, well, yeah, Jones has exceeded expectations. You know, he's a success story. We already know that. We're past that. I mean, to me, now the conversation as we sit here in mid-November is, can Jones, Taylor, and company, not just him, beat Mahomes, beat Allen, beat Lamar in the playoffs? I think they got a shot. You know, I mean, I'm not super confident if it comes down to quarterback versus quarterback in the fourth quarter or gunslinger, he'd come out on top. But the way they're constructed, I think the Colts could beat one of those teams.
And it gives them a little bit more hope now that they have Sauce Gardner. When you start putting, see, great players, they make plays, man. Just all they got to do. Sometimes these games come down to one guy making a play. And when you get a guy like that to go along with this team, it gives you a little bit of hope for the future. So I'm kind of optimistic. I'm a little bit torn with this one because I'm a Jaguar fan. I want the Jaguars to win the AFC South.
Yeah.
They haven't played the Colts yet. They play them twice towards the end of the season. So it's going to be very, very important to see how Daniel Jones plays, because that's going to determine what the Colts decide to do with him. And Anthony Richardson is still a developer. Yeah, I think he is too. I don't think there's a way around it. It just depends on how much that extension is.
Yeah,
all right, we'll get back to it. We got a couple of other teams, and one of them was on full display last night. A very patient effort by the New England Patriots. And I'm telling you something, I think everything runs through Foxborough, man. All of the year-end awards and even the AFC playoffs. We'll discuss that more in just a second here on Locked On NFL. All right, today's show is sponsored and brought to you by our friends over at Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement of this sports season. Whether you're following the NFL, NBA, or both, there's no better time to jump in on the action. If you haven't tried it yet, Prize Picks is the simplest way to play. Just pick more or less on at least 2-player stat projections, and if you get them right, guess what? That means you win. And it takes less than 60 seconds to make that lineup up, create that lineup, and you can play anywhere Prize Picks operates, including California, Texas, and Georgia. I'm telling you right now, man, it's going to be a big, big week for a lot of players in the National Football League. The game in Jacksonville between the Jaguars and the Chargers, Trevor Lawrence and that dude out there, that quarterback that gets compared to him an awful lot, Justin Herbert. Somebody's going to have a real big game, and I think it's going to be Trevor. Download the Prize Picks app today and use the code Locked On NFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's Locked On NFL for $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineups. Prize Picks. It is good to be right. All right, my man Matt Williamson is here. I was going to say from a different part, the Locked On Pick Six. It's Locked On Pick Six. Go ahead and tell us, Matt, the podcast, the name of it, where you can find it.
Yeah, nothing really changed, but we, instead of Peacock and Williamson, now we are the NFL Six Pack. And to pull back the curtain, it just made it easier for people searching for a national show to find us. And instead of just kind of whatever we do, we pick 6 topics every day. We do 2 per segment, and we knock them out quick and attack them real hard.
There you go.
Check it out. Yeah.
Six pack. Matt Williamson and my man Brian Peacock. Of course, you can find Peacock on the Locked On 49ers podcast each and every day. All right. So I featured the 49ers earlier this week because they were one of those teams that had a record that I couldn't believe. I could not believe that they were 6-4. It feels like they're 2-8 or something with all of those injuries that they've had. But I can tell you what, who I do believe in is the Patriots. Another example was on full display last night as the Patriots, albeit an improved Jets team, a Jets team that is playing with a modicum of respect. Looks like it's going to get Aaron Glenn another shot at it, even though they've traded away all of their players. They took a little bit of patience last night, but it finally happened. The Patriots did what they have done now 8 straight weeks, and Nick Caddis is going to tell you all about it.
The word of the night is patience, because the Patriots have been patient with Travion Henderson, and it continues to pay off. 5 touchdowns in his last 2 games. Meanwhile, this team just mentally tough. Short week, 11th straight game, waiting on their bye. In week 14, they find a way. It wasn't pretty, this game, really, for most of it, but Drake Maye continues to ball out. Defense does just enough, and Mike Vrabel has this team absolutely believing in itself. Best start since 2019. Check us out, Locked On Patriots. We go live in just a little while.
Listen to me, man. Mike Vrabel is, if there was one coach where you wouldn't say this, well, the team came out flat. It's going to be whatever team he coaches, man. It just doesn't happen. I've seen Detroit even come out flat a little bit, and that surprised me. But Mike Vrabel has them really, really ready to go each and every Sunday.
1,000%. Like, if I'm a Titans fan, I'm looking at what this guy's done. Like, why did we move on from him? And
exactly,
many of us said that at the time too. I didn't think that was hard analysis. Why would you give up on one of the best couple coaches in the league? And I've always believed this, Wig, that there's maybe a dozen, maybe there's 18 at most, 15 men on the planet that just know how to win in this league, that you can give them bad players and they'll be competitive. If you give them good players, they'll contend. And Tomlin and Harbaugh, and these guys have just done it. I mean, there's an art to winning in this league, and there's no doubt that Vrabel's one of them. That's a young team that's responding to him in a massive way. I think they have the next great quarterback. I mean, that obviously helps. But I was skeptical of the Patriots. I kind of thought they were, oh, that's a nice story. They're a lot better than last year. But you mentioned it 5 minutes ago. They might be the 1 seed, especially when you look at their future schedule. I mean, they might be the best team in the AFC right now.
They absolutely might be the best team in the NFL. They might be the best team in the whole National Football League, considering the thing that they have too is they have these little wide receivers. Like, you look at them and everybody wants a big 6'3" X receiver. So they got Stephon Diggs, they got Kayshon Boutte who's banged up. But they got Kyle Williams, man. And they got a kid from my hometown too, man, that the second-year player. It's just, for me, they just got route runners, guys that know how to get up and catch the ball and turn and get up the field. They ain't all this X and Z and he's got to look like this. They got football players.
1,000%. And I get the impression that Stephon Diggs has been a positive role model. He's a route runner too. He has somewhat of a checkered past. I think we know that, but I think he's dedicated, and I give Vrabel all the credit in the world for keeping a guy like him in a leadership role, you know?
Leaders of men.
Yeah.
Men have a way of straightening people out. Remember, Antonio Brown wasn't getting away with all that foolishness when he was up in Pittsburgh either. It's just something about having dudes
Right.
like that in charge of your locker room. Baltimore, you mentioned them. They have one. Baltimore has something else, man. They're a little perplexing. Before Lamar Jackson got hurt, they were scoring all these points, but they were giving up a lot of points. Right before he came back, the defense tightened up against a couple of bad teams. And since he's been back, they've actually played more like the Baltimore Ravens that everybody thought. I don't know, it's a tale of two teams. Now, we've talked about all of these other teams. Are they good? Do they really match their record? And I think we're 3-0 so far. The question is Baltimore as good as people think? Because their record doesn't indicate that they're very good. But this is one where you may have to look at the team and sort of ignore the record, as opposed to the other ones we were looking at the record trying to see of whether or not it was the real deal. Here's my man Kevin Ostracker talking about the Ravens.
I feel like the Ravens have kind of played like two different seasons at this point, because back then it was, they're Super Bowl contenders, and then they go on a little bit of a losing streak after they beat the Browns, and now they're sort of right back in the mix for a playoff spot and the division.
And it's really been that way for the past month of the season, where, you know, in a way, you always even look in September games to, that September loss won't really matter in September, but it'll certainly come back to bite you in December in some way, shape, or form. Now it's just like every loss can put you on the brink of elimination, because you already have your 5 losses.
Now, look, we saw these teams with decent records. Even mentioned the 49ers and said, are they as good as that record? Baltimore isn't as bad as that record indicates.
Sure. Sure. I mean, they got beat by 1 million by the Texans when they had nobody healthy and basically punted that game. There was 2 or 3 of those instances. I thought they were going to be the best team in the league, though. I mean, I picked them to win the Super Bowl. I don't think they can get back to those levels, especially after watching the beginning of the season. And I just think that they're not strong enough on both lines, especially the D line. Now, they have been able to move what's his face? Hamilton around and make some adjustments on defense. And
Kyle,
yes, and that's wonderful. I just don't think that they're great in the trenches, and they have to manufacture pass rush through blitz and things of that nature. And I'm not sure Henry's quite what he was. I mean, if he's 5% less, it's a little bit easier to play against. So I think they're formidable. I'm not blown away with the AFC. I think they can compete, but I don't think that they'll be what I thought they were going to be, which is number 1, you know.
I tell you what, if they do, and I know people up in your neck of the woods don't care about hearing this in Pittsburgh, if they do get to the point where they overachieve again, I want Mark Andrews to be one of the people that helps them do it, because I really felt bad for him about how his career should not be defined based on those drops. Me and you are old enough to remember Jackie Smith in the Super Bowl with the Cowboys, man. That one drop that changed everything. I hope people don't do that same thing to Mark Andrews. He's a really, really good player that just had a sort of a bad day. We don't have a whole bunch of bad days here on Locked On NFL. Some of them are Fridays when I have to make predictions, so I leave that up to Matt. And we're going to roll around and pick them here in just a second on Locked On NFL. All right, today's show sponsored and brought to you by our friends over at Game Time. The NFL season is back, and honestly, there's nothing better than being in the stadium surrounded by fans cheering on your team. But let's be honest, getting tickets can be a hassle, especially when the games are between 2 really, really good teams, right? Between queues and login screens and prices jumping all around at checkout, it can be very, very frustrating. That's why I use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to fans. Game Time is fast, easy, and backed by the Game Time guarantee. You always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at their best price. Plus, all fees are included, so the price you see is the price you pay. I pulled up Game Time, and in just a couple of taps, I saw amazing deals. I'm talking about your favorite NFL games as low as $100. So download the Game Time app today, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. All right, man, welcome back to Locked On NFL. And I am Tony Wiggins. And we appreciate you making us your first listen. And thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. All right, Maddie, we're going to do a little whip around and pick them. The game last night probably was pretty easy for us to decide, although it was a little bit closer. Here's a little ugly game. Again, we're over in Madrid, Spain. I talked to my man David Harrison the other day on Locked On NFL on Wednesday. The Dolphins and the Commanders are both 3-7. It's yucky, but I kind of believe those Ferraris going to pull this one off.
Yeah, me too. I'm starting to come around on the coach, the playmakers, Chan, Waddle. They get the ball in the right people's hands, and I'm really down on where Washington is right now.
Yeah, man, they look really, really bad, and that was one of those teams that people were saying, I don't like that they rushed that rebuild in year number 2. All right, Panthers and Falcons. This is another perplexing game. As soon as the first time I pick them to win, they lose. Ain't that amazing? But the Panthers and Falcons.
Atlanta, to me, is one of the hardest ones to get my head around, but I'm going to take them. I just want to throw this out there. Jalen Walker is going to be a star, by the way. I mean, no one seems to be talking about him as like defensive rookie of the year. Boy, is he a player.
He is a good player. I liked him a lot. People were talking about him being a tweener and all of that stuff. I was just like, yeah, he's just another one of those dudes you just put on the field and let him go. All right. And what is a really good game and one that seemed like a critical game for the rest of the season for both teams, the Buccaneers and the Bills.
This one's tough for me. I'm a little down on the Bills. I think they're short a weapon. I think their defense has some problems. I'm going to take the Bucs in an upset.
Ooh, the Bucs going on the road to beat the Bills.
Yeah.
All right, I got you. The Chargers here in my hometown of Jacksonville, Florida, where, by the way, I politely told Matt it was 78 degrees outside today. So just throwing that in. Just flex. Pittsburgh. Yeah, just flexing a little bit. What you got?
I got the Jags. I was super impressed with I studied the Chargers like crazy against the Steelers, and their defense really was impressive to me, but their O-line is so bad. I mean, he's under pressure every snap. I think that's going to come back to bite the Chargers the rest of the season.
No doubt about it. Bears and Vikings. You picked the Vikings to play better as of late, and they have. Can they beat the Bears at home?
Now I'm taking Chicago. We said some good things about them earlier. I think they're in a much better place quarterback-wise. Give me the Bears.
All right. The Packers go to New York to play Jameis Winston and the Giants.
I think Green Bay wins, but I'm a little down on them too.
Yeah, I'm a little down on it myself, man. Offensively, I'm just trying to figure out what it is. I can't even understand what's missing. I'm just like,
I think Tucker Kraft has a lot to do with it.
He did, but I even had questions when he was still there.
Me too.
I thought he was just kind of bailing them out. All right, big game between Joe Flacco and the Steelers. Flacco stole one from him a few weeks back. What do you got?
I'm taking the Steelers, but man, the Steeler offense is really rough right now. But this Bengal defense is flat out historically bad. People throw that term around too much, but this is like, I mean, the NFL sends this packet. It's the worst defense since the 1966 Giants. I'm like, holy cow.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. And by the way, the coach that they fired, Lou Anarumo, is rumored to be one of the people that might go be the head coach of the Giants. And he's doing a fabulous job with the Colts. Kind of dumped the wrong cargo, if you ask me.
I don't think it was his fault.
Yeah, right. The Texans, we anticipate they're going to beat the Titans, right?
Yeah, even with Mills. I mean, he's going to be starting again this week, but I don't care.
Yeah, he beat Jacksonville. Scored 26 points in the fourth quarter, beat Jacksonville. 49ers and Cardinals.
Cardinals are another one I'm really down on. Both these teams are really banged up, but I trust Shanahan to handle that better.
Yeah, me too. Those Ravens we talked about at the Browns, it's never easy, man, when you play Cleveland because they got a good defense.
No, I bet this is closer than you think. I don't know the spread. I'm sure the Ravens are favored. But I bet it's close. Baltimore wins on the road, but that could be a yucky AFC North close game.
All right, so we got 3 really, really good games. I kind of didn't go in order. So we're going to start this dynamic trio of games, 2 of them on Sunday and 1 on Monday. Seahawks and Rams, both at 7-2. That is a humdinger of a football game at 4 o'clock Sunday.
I think they might be the best 2 teams in the league, and obvious playoff implications. Taking the Rams, but I don't feel strong about it. I just want to sit back and watch and enjoy this one.
Yeah, it's going to come down to the pressure. If they can get Matthew Stafford under pressure, I think that'll do a lot of good for Seattle. Chiefs and Broncos. It's a big game, man. Denver's 8-2. The Chiefs are 5-4. You don't want to go 3.5 games back if you're the Chiefs.
No, and I keep thinking the Chiefs are ready to dominate the league. And I'm still going to go with that premise. I mean, I don't love where Knicks is at. I think the Chiefs as an organization have to actually be a little scared for the first time in the regular season. I expect their A game here.
Yeah, I think they're going to get their A game too. I just never discount Sean Payton and his ability to dial anything up in big games. All right, Monday night, big game Monday night, man. It seems like Philadelphia is playing somebody real good every single week, and they got the Lions coming into Philly. Boy, this is going to be a thumper. I might have to wrap my TV in bubble wrap. All the physicality that's going to be on that game.
I like the Eagles here. It's an awful place to play. I think the Eagles have turned the corner a little bit and could really start to put the rest of the league on notice. But man, Detroit's good. I would take the home team either way.
All right, and so correction, that is the Sunday night game that I don't have to wrap my TV in bubble wrap. I might have to wrap it in bubble wrap on Monday so nobody throws anything at it to watch the Cowboys and the Raiders.
Yeah, I got Dallas here. It looks like their O-line is going to be a little healthier. I like where Dak's at. Maybe these defensive additions help a little bit. Quinn Williams, et cetera.
Yeah, so we'll see about that. And then I don't know what's going on with the Raiders, man. Just get the ball to Brock Bowers, please. I got him in the fantasy team. Just get the ball to Brock Bowers. He did it against Jacksonville. Gino, can you please throw the ball to number 89? That's the only thing I got to tell you. Yeah. All right, man, it's the weekend. It's holiday season, the fall weather. Everywhere except Jacksonville is fall weather. You guys make sure you take care of yourself. Bundle up. If you have to stay inside, man, there's nothing better to listen to than Locked On NFL. All across our network, we are the #1 podcast network for a reason. Locked On NFL is actually twice a day. So first thing Monday morning, Tyler Rowland is going to have it for you, all of the weekend action, and I'll slide back through Monday on the barbershop and do it like we always do it. My man Matt has to go. I know, Matt, you got some stuff you got to be doing with the Steelers. Get ready for this weekend, and I'm going to do the same thing. We don't take y'all for granted.
Record the six-pack here in a minute, too.
That's right, the six-pack. Make sure you check that out. 27 minutes with y'all today. We appreciate you. Thank you for joining us here on Locked On NFL.